It's the dawn of a new era in Chapel Hill. Hubert Davis begins his journey as head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Opening night is finally here. It's time to tip things off.
It's a blessing and a privilege.
Something that I love unconditionally.
It's been my whole life.
My life,
and my family, my kids.
A lifetime.
A lifetime of passion, love, and fulfillment.
We've all been given the gift of basketball.
It started when I was a young kid that fell in love with this orange ball.
This gift is something more.
Opportunity.
Endless opportunity.
To be able to see the world.
Meeting wonderful people. Friendships and bonds, the places it can take you.
Something that motivates us.
The gift of passion. Something that's bigger than myself.
Inspires us.
Definitely give me a platform.
To help and change lives.
And becomes us.
A program that I hoped and dreamed of.
The joy.
Thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
The gift.
Higher education.
It's completely changed my life.
Leadership.
It brings to you.
The memories never go away.
To me and to us.
All of this little orange ball has created.
Man, I love this sport.
Basketball is awesome, baby, with a capital A.
Indeed it is, Dickie V. We're inside the Deanie Smith Center atop Roy Williams Court. It's the coveted Carolina blue baton being passed to Hubert Davis. Number 19, North Carolina opens the season against Loyola, Maryland out of the Patriot League. And welcome everybody, along with Corey Alexander. I'm Doug Sherman. So glad you can be with us for this new season. We are thrilled to be back here in person with fans. By the way, you clean up pretty nice.
Hey, new do for me, new season, new do, and it's a historic night for the University of North Carolina. Hubert Davis, the 20th head coach for the University of North Carolina, but the first black head coach. Is history here tonight, and he has a team that has a chance to be the best in the ACC. A lot of veteran leadership coming back, as well as some transfer talent that can make this team special.
Well, that young man right there, number 2 in white, one of the tri-captains, Caleb Love. A lot of how the Tar Heels go this year will ride on how he does.
I agree. Caleb and I had a conversation a few weeks ago. I asked him, can you be ACC Player of the Year? He said, absolutely. I believe him. That's the type of season I'm expecting to see from 2 in white.
Love, a 6'4" sophomore from St. Louis, averaged 10.5 points per game. Jumping center, Armando Bacot, the top returning scorer for Carolina. And it's R.J. Davis, another one of the tri-captains with the basketball. First to begin the Hubert Davis era. Here's Brady Manick, the grad transfer from Oklahoma, to get the scoring underway.
Well, Brady Manick made 235 three-pointers at Oklahoma, now playing in his 5th season. And he's a guy that you have to identify immediately as we look at the Loyola starting lineup. But Coach Hardy not happy about the fact that they gave up a wide-open 3 to who Hubert Davis is the best big man shooter in the country, and it's not even close.
Milos Ilic, a 6'10" freshman from Serbia, misfires on his first shot. And as you see, Leaky Black, the senior, in the starting lineup as Manick misfires. There's been question here in Chapel Hill, Corey, who would start, who will start, and we got our answer here with Leaky in, and for at least tonight, Kerwin Walton out.
Yeah, at least for tonight, and that's one of the things about Hubert Davis. He's an extreme competitor, so what he's going to want from his team is to come out every day and show that they belong in the starting lineup. I would not be surprised to see the starting lineup change time and time again, but one guy for certain who's going to be in there. We talked about 2 in white. Caleb Love off to a great start here in his sophomore campaign in Chapel Hill.
Only a 27% three-point shooter a year ago, off to a quick start here today. Well, much like his new head coach Hubert Davis, Caleb Love grew up loving North Carolina, and he came by it naturally through his family.
Well, and Caleb Love, of course, is a young man who a year ago was projected to be a one-and-done player. The first mock draft, I believe, for the start of the season, he was ranked 10th. As R.J. Davis, another one of those heralded freshmen a year ago, gets out in transition. The nice Euro, the beautiful finish with the left, and an opportunity for a three-point play off a physical defense by North Carolina, and you see the strong finish by R.J. Davis. A little flex afterwards, and R.J. coming right into the camera, and the nice finish going to the opposite hand to get an opportunity for the three-point play.
Corey, is it overstating it that this backcourt that last year's freshmen largely didn't live up to expectation, Davis and Love, at least in part because of the odd COVID preseason that they had, and really no preseason, as opposed to this year where it's kind of back to normal?
I believe that was the case, and it's difficult to be a freshman guard in this league. Hubert and I talked about that earlier. We both did that, and I can remember back to my playing day as Kenneth Jones knocks down the three for Loyola to get their season started with the scoring. But I didn't play up to what I thought I was capable of. And again, I had what most people would think to be a solid year. My shooting percentage wasn't high. But that was the same way that Caleb Love went into his summer, knowing that he had to get better. And instead of putting his name in the draft, he decided to come back to the University of North Carolina and now has a team that can really compete for an ACC championship.
9-3 Carolina with the lead. Loyola with the basketball. Nice move by Kenneth Jones, their senior point guard, but the turnover for the Greyhounds is their second. And Hubert Davis said it's still going to be the Carolina way, but he's doing the walking in his own shoes. So they're going to get up and down. They're going to defend. But you're going to see more of that. Your five, Armando Bacot, stepping out, facing up, and taking jump shots.
But Armando's been able to do that. But I believe that Hubert Davis has really given him the confidence to go out and do it in game action. And I think that's one of the things that these players will see from Armando. And you've seen 3 different times where Armando's gotten his hands on the basketball, leading to a steal for Caleb Love.
The tomahawk off the takeaway. Carolina up 10. Jones from long range. Barely grazed the front iron. Bacot with a rebound, and here come the Tar Heels. This is Love.
And Doug, we've only played, 3 minutes and 45 seconds into this new season for North Carolina. But this is a different defensive team than what we've seen from North Carolina in the past several seasons.
How so?
Well, you see the defense leading to points and Caleb Love getting out into a passing lane. But prior on that possession, Caleb Love hounded the ball handler and making him make a pass where he was disturbed. Armando Bacot doing a great job getting his hand in the passing lane, but just not allowing Loyola to run their offense and disrupting them has been something that we really haven't seen from North Carolina in the past few seasons. And I believe that's one of the new wrinkles that Hubert Davis will bring to this program is they will be a better defensive team. He talked about Caleb Love could be the ACC Defensive Player of the Year when I asked him if he could be ACC Player of the Year. And that's the challenge that he's put on his sophomore guard.
And with a big smile on his face earlier this week, Armando Bacot said this new defense is actually easier for him, tougher for the guards. He likes that.
All big guys like it when it's easier for them and tougher for the guards.
Cam Spencer with the basketball for Loyola. This a team picked 8th in the preseason out of the Patriot League, but made it to the championship game a year ago where they lost to Colgate with a spot in the NCAA tournament on the line. Love turns the corner. Tough shot off the window. No, out of bounds off of Bacot. It'll be Greyhounds basketball when we come back to the Dean Dome.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cole here, man. Just wanted to give a big shout out to my man HD.
Congratulations to you, Coach Davis, first and foremost.
Couldn't be happier for anyone to be the head coach.
It was an honor and pleasure to work with you for 4 years when I was in school.
You're going to do great. It's going to be a great year. I still haven't been able to get a hold of him on the phone, but, that doesn't mean I'm not supporting him from the shadows, man. HD, pick up your phone, man, all right?
See, I got to put my boy Cole Anthony on blast.
Okay.
Now, he says that about Hubert Davis, but then, of course, Coach Davis takes his team to Florida to play a secret scrimmage against University of Florida, and he's sitting front row at Cole's opening night in Orlando. I'm putting Cole, little CA, on blast right now. Hubert says those are not facts.
From big CA to little CA.
I'm medium CA. Carmelo's big CA.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Baycott the block shot. And here comes Dawson Garcia, the Marquette transfer, who came in during the timeout for his first run as a Tar Heel. Off the bench, Kerwin Walton buries the three. I should say little CA might be on his way to being the NBA's most improved player this year.
Hey, he is having a great year when you consider what Cole Anthony's doing right now, and I love following him on Twitter and him talking about how he can always get better, and that's his mentality. And, of course, he's a young man that was recruited heavily by Hubert Davis, who was teammates with Cole's father, Greg, with the New York Knicks.
Baycott turns down the three, spins into the paint, lays it up and missed it.
Beautiful move by Armando, just unable to finish it off. But you see really the level of freedom and confidence that he's playing with now. I'm not sure he would have made that play a year ago.
Here's Jalen Andrews, the lead return scorer for the Greyhounds. Can't get the roll. Carolina's defense has been good, turning Loyola over and turning those into points. 8-0 on fast break points, 7 of those coming off of turnovers. Leaky Black's bullet pass off the hands of Garcia. And Spencer comes away after the first Carolina turnover of the night. Tell you what, I asked that man, Cam Spencer, what do you bring to this team? And he said, my greatest asset is I slow things down for my teammates.
Well, Cam Spencer, of course, only played 5 games a year ago as we see Kerwin Walton knocking down his second shot. But back to Spencer, he didn't have the opportunity between his freshman and sophomore year to work on his game, had a surgery on his hip. So he didn't make his debut last year until February 27th. But they are excited to have him back healthy and in the lineup. They think he's a difference maker for this Greyhound team.
He feeds DK in the post, who lays it in with a left hand.
That's a nice move by DK on that possession, the leading returning rebounder for Loyola. And you can see Tavares Hardy has some talent in this program, but of course, losing Santi a year ago, sophomore out of the Patriot League, declaring for the NBA draft and being a first-round pick, the first first-round pick ever from the Patriot League. So when you consider that, I'm sorry, not the first ever, first from Loyola. But when you consider that, a huge loss for a team that returns 4 of its 5 starters from a team that went to the Patriot League championship game a year ago.
Yeah, that's Santi Aldama with the Grizzlies, picked 30th overall by the Jazz. He's 6'11", played a couple of years with Loyola. Up and over Baycott, the layup is good. Wade Jackson then goes for the steal after the layup, and he and Love wind up on the floor. Our next men's college basketball games here on ACC Network and the ESPN app for Friday night. We've got a Tobacco Road doubleheader with Army and number 9 Duke at 7 Eastern. Coach K's final season salute continues. And then Hubert Davis and these number 19 North Carolina Tar Heels will host Brown. Our coverage starts with the Nothing But Net pregame show at 6 Eastern. And there is the 4th-year head coach, former star power forward for Northwestern University, graduated in 2002. And when you watch Loyola, you see some of the influences he got playing for Bill Carmody and then coaching under Bill Carmody, as well as being a Georgetown assistant under John Thompson III. All of those guys, Princeton guys, and Hardy has elements of that in his style.
And Hardy also has ACC experience, was an assistant coach with Georgia Tech for 3 seasons along with Josh Pastner. So when you consider what he was able to do and Loyola in his first 3 seasons, especially last year making it to the Patriot League championship game after getting off to a slow start dealing with injuries, Tavares Hardy has this program pointed in direction that they want to go.
Timeout here in Chapel Hill. The Hall of Famer Roy Williams may be retired, but he is still as close as ever to the program, in the stands watching the first game that he is not the head coach of the Tar Heels in a long, long time. And one of his former great players, Tyler Hansbrough, the 2008 National Player of the Year, back at the Dean Dome, checking out this new version of the Tar Heels.
Psycho T does not get enough credit for what he did during his collegiate career. The only first-team All-ACC member 4 straight years. That is,
yep.
I mean, when you can say you're the only person in the ACC to ever do something, that's pretty special.
3-time first-team All-American, and as I mentioned, consensus National Player of the Year senior year. Really something. Loyola in the black, Carolina, of course, in the white here at the Dean Smith Center. This is opening night, and this is Jalen Andrews, the captain for Loyola, turned it over. That's the 4th time they've coughed it up. On the run, Davis to the reverse, no. And an over-the-back foul as the rebound was grabbed by Veljko Ilić. That foul is on Justin McCoy, the 3rd of the 3 transfers into the Carolina program we've seen tonight.
And when you think about the transfers, of course, we watched Brady Manick knock down a couple of threes early in this game. Dawson Garcia was a McDonald's All-American in 2020, along with the class of R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, and Day'Ron Sharp. He was a McDonald's All-American there, came to the Dean Dome back in, I believe, February, and hung 24 on this North Carolina team. And so that ended up being a recruiting visit for him because here he is now wearing Carolina blue.
Here's Manick teeing it up, left it short. And no, you're not seeing double. There are identical twins on the floor for Loyola. Milos and Veljko Ilić, both 6'10", 230 pounds. As Jones knocks down his 2nd triple of the night. Apparently the only way you can tell the twins apart is that one of them is working on a little baby facial hair this week.
And I believe it's Veljko who has the little bit of chin fuzz, but he did switch it up on the group a month or so ago and shaved. And everyone on the Loyola staff pretty much had no idea which of the twins each guy was, but they say that Milos is more of a perimeter player where Veljko does more of his damage on the interior.
Well, they're from Serbia. They played their high school ball in the States at the Huzik School, which is less than an hour northeast of Albany, New York. And so the twins wearing number 11 for Milos and number 1 for Veljko. And if Veljko turns around, we can see, well, there's the clean-shaven one, Milos. And apparently Veljko is slightly bigger. They wanted to be listed the same, but I understand that Veljko's got a couple of pounds on his brother.
But see, I heard that, but when I looked at both of them side by side today, Milos, to me, seemed bigger. But then again, maybe I got him wrong.
That's true. Who would know besides those two? The coaches can't necessarily tell them apart. Although they do play different positions.
Yes.
Milos is more of 4. Veljko is more of a 5. The 3 ball by Jalen Andrews. His first 3 of the night.
And that's the guy who is going to have to be the leader of this Greyhound team all season long. Also a leader on campus as we see Colonel Walton, the leading 3-point shooter for the North Carolina Tar Heels. 42% a year ago, knocking down his 2nd 3 ball on the evening.
You know, I got here on campus about 10:30 this morning for the Loyola practice, their shoot around. And while I was pulling up to the Dean Dome, there was Kerwin Walton walking by, very unassuming, with his backpack going to class. I like it. Now you see him what? 10 hours later, knocking down shots. He's got 8 points to lead everybody. And now McCoy will go to the free throw line.
But one thing that you see, and I'm not sure if we can call it new North Carolina, but one of the consistent pieces to this is you see pushing the basketball, makes or misses. Hubert Davis wants his team to fly down the court, looking for opportunities in transition. That is something that Roy Williams, of course, as Hubert, was a coach under, preached, but also Dean Smith, who he played for, preached that push the ball down the floor, running that Carolina secondary break, which is a staple in college basketball and has been for decades.
And as I mentioned earlier, I love the way Hubert has put it over and over again since taking over for Roy Williams, that it's still going to be done the Carolina way. It's just going to be done in my shoes.
But the Carolina way, in my opinion, started with Dean Smith.
Right.
And, so when you think about it, of course, Roy Williams, and I love Coach Williams, he's a legend in this game. but Dean Smith is the founder. And of course, North Carolina won a championship with Coach McGuire before Dean Smith took over. But the Carolina way was created by Dean Smith, and it's been a legacy passed down to Roy Williams and now Hubert Davis.
And Hubert, whose uncle Walter, most folks know, Walter Davis, who was a great player at Carolina back in the 70s, is Hubert's direct connection to Dean Smith. And he grew up in Virginia, less than 4 hours from here, rooting for the Tar Heels. And so he seems to be the perfect guy to continue that legacy.
Yeah, and I gave Hubert a whole bunch of flack probably for the last 20 years for being a Virginia guy and coming to Carolina, as so many great Virginia players have. Armando Bacot, Anthony Harris, a number of guys on the roster now. But I did not realize that Hubert was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So he's claimed to always have been a North Carolinian, as Brady Manick with a nice spin move, not just a jump shooter, showing off his work on the block as well.
Yeah, but as Hubert told us, he only stayed in Winston-Salem for about 6 months. Then his dad took a job at Penn State University, where they lived for a couple of years. And at that point, Hubert Sr. and Bobby moved the family to Virginia. Hubert still, though, was a Penn State football fan from those days, but there's never been a doubt that he's a Carolina Hoops guy.
You got to be careful of saying that around here, too, by the way, that he's a Penn State football fan. I'm not sure the Carolina faithful are going to be too happy about that.
He's got pictures, as he said, running up and down the stadium stands as a 3-year-old for the Nittany Lions. You can't hate that. I mean, I'm a Syracuse guy. I got no love for Penn State football. But you can appreciate where you grew up, where you came from.
Okay. We'll see what your comment section looks like later.
First foul on Kerwin Walton. So what do you think of Kerwin Walton, at least for this first game coming off the bench? He certainly shot it well so far.
Well, remember, Kerwin Walton didn't start the season starting last year. He came off the bench, but he shot the basketball so well that Roy Williams was forced to put him into the starting lineup for a team that was struggling to make shots. And so he pretty much finished the season as a starter. But with Leaky Black, his veteran leadership, his defensive ability, that's where he's in the starting lineup, and that's one of the things that Hubert Davis is asking of Kerwin Walton, has become a better defender, as Armando Bacot tries to defend but picks up the foul on that possession.
Let's get to know Hubert Davis a little more. Love the pictures. He grew up less than 4 hours from Chapel Hill, bleeding Carolina blue. And against the odds, Hubert became a Tar Heel, scored 1,600 career points, was a first-round pick, and spent 12 years in the NBA before coming home to be an assistant coach, a 9-year apprenticeship under Roy Williams, readied Davis to replace the now-retired Hall of Famer as head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I know he downplays the significance of the transfer and the fact that he is now the face of this program, but Corey, it is a huge deal.
It's not only a huge deal, it's a huge honor when you consider one of, really the top 5 programs traditionally in college basketball history, and to be the leader of that program. But it really speaks volumes to who Hubert Davis is as a person, let alone what he did as a basketball player, but who he is as a person. I believe that's the reason why he's in this position, and this fan base and university trust him at the helm.
Crowd doesn't like the foul call on Caleb Love, his first. We should also mention that the casual attire for the coaches continues.
You know what? I'm thinking about going casual myself. Not sure how our boss Beth Chappelle and David Slicer would feel about that, but I'm thinking about it.
I'll tell you what, Loyola has now outscored North Carolina 15-12 over the last 8 minutes or so.
Well, and Loyola getting back involved in it. Kenneth Jones has been the guy really who's kept them in the game early. He knocked down the first 3 for them in this game, and he has 8 points in this one. So he's kind of been the steadying force, the leader for this team, where we've really been expecting for Jalen Andrews to be that guy, but Andrews only 1 for 4. But when you're at the top of the scouting report, which Andrews talked to me earlier about, he hasn't been there before. This is the first game where he's been the guy.
Well, there's the height and the length that this Loyola team has. We haven't even mentioned Alonzo Faure at 6'10", 220. He just had a terrific post move for 2.
And not just a nice post move, but a beautiful beautiful action designed by Tavares Hardy and his staff. Nice move to make this a 10-point game underneath for Fowler. And now Loyola with a chance to get this back in single digits after really getting punched in the chin early in this game.
Here's Wade Jackson, sophomore guard from Washington, D.C. Spencer works his way into the lane, gives up the shot. Fowler along the baseline. Baycott was waiting for him. Three-guard offense with Manick, and here's Baycott inside with a chance for three.
And that's a momentum changer. Armando Baycott getting it done on both ends of the floor, coming up with a huge block on one end, and then the nice footwork to finish through the contact. Opportunity for the and one on the other side.
You know, we had a chance to chat with Hubert, of course, earlier today, and he talked about what it means to him that Caleb Love decided to come back. He didn't transfer, didn't go to the league. He came back to work on his game. Armando Baycott, you can say the same thing. He came in highly touted 2 years ago, and he is still sticking it out and continuing to work on his game, and now he's the elder statesman along with Leaky Black leading this program.
So I'm going to tell you a little secret about Chapel Hill. The players who come here and attend the University of North Carolina and play basketball love it here.
Can't imagine why.
This is a place where you can always remember that North Carolina was the place where all the alumni would come back in the summertime and play pickup. And the Vince Carters and the Michael Jordans would buy houses here so they could be here around the team. Even when they were NBA players, they would come back here. You've got guys like Marvin Williams, who left after his freshman year, but yet still comes back and gets his degree from the University of North Carolina. So when you think about what this place is, that's part of the reason why Armando Baycott, Caleb Love are back here, because they love this place.
Jackson beats the shot clock. Black clears the rebound. Manick, tough runner. Good. Tell you what, after a 4-year run as a fabulous Oklahoma Sooner, what a benefit to have him on this roster this year.
It really is, and his ability to be able to shoot the basketball, one, stretches the defense, but you see he's not just a shooter. We've seen him make a number of nice plays attacking the basket. And Manick has been a great addition to this group.
Well, former Tar Heels are everywhere here in Chapel Hill, including on the bench. Hubert Davis, of course, over 1,500 points as a player, but every single one of those guys played for the Tar Heels and are now back on Hubert's first staff.
And you see Jeff Lebo, and I had a comment last year talking about who was the greatest shooter in North Carolina history, and I was immediately starting to think Jeff Lebo. But Hubert Davis actually is the all-time leader in three-point field goal percentage at 43.5, beating out Lebo's 42.8. But as great as those two guys are, I'm still going with my Williams boys. Donald Williams, Shammond Williams. Those are my top two. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What were their percentages?
I don't care. Doesn't matter. They made big shots, just like Caleb Love. 3-ball, corner pocket is good.
Give him 8 points. And the lead balloons back to 17 for the Tar Heels. Jalen Andrews connects.
And you see Loyola now starting to try to find a rhythm offensively against North Carolina. And North Carolina's defensive energy early was great, but now as the Greyhounds have settled down quite a bit, they're starting to find things that work for them on the offensive end of the floor. And North Carolina finding what works for them, and they're hoping this works for them all season long. Leaky Black attacking the rim, finding Caleb Love in the corner. 3-ball is good.
We'll have a women's college basketball doubleheader for you Sunday afternoon, noon Eastern, at the Carrier Dome. Notre Dame and Syracuse in the first conference game for both teams, and then Number 5, NC State hosting Florida right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. With Corey Alexander, I'm Doug Sherman. So glad you could be with us here on ACC Network for our first look at the North Carolina Tar Heels under the first-year head coach, Hubert Davis. And here is Brady Manek. You might remember Brady was part of the Trae Young recruiting class for Lon Kruger that was among the top 20 in the country. Of course, Trae was fabulous, the breakout star as a freshman, but Manek was his 1A, and they were so good through November, December, and January. Didn't finish the season strong, but you know, the national spotlight after Trae left for the NBA kind of left Norman a little bit, but Manek just kept on keeping on.
He really did, and you're talking about a young man who averaged double figures all 4 seasons at Oklahoma. And now an opportunity to be able to play on a team that, again, I really feel as though this North Carolina team could win the ACC.
You think the parts fit together well?
I think they really do. When you consider, you know, Caleb Love, and I think that he is an ACC Player of the Year candidate. Yeah, I know he was voted second team All-ACC preseason, but most of those guys have no clue what they're talking about anyway, so we won't talk about that. But I believe that he will have a fabulous year because he has that hunger, that desire from really watching many of his contemporaries get drafted. And one of the things that Hubert Davis talked about was the hunger, the desperation of this team, how they've heard about all the stories from him and his coaching staff and all the former players. And this group wants to make their own memories. They want to have their own stories. And it starts with Caleb Love and Armando Bacot, preseason first team All-ACC. But when you add Brady Manek, veteran leadership, as well as ability to shoot the basketball, you add Dawson Garcia, big-time, you know, scorer, talking about one of the most talented players coming out of the country in 2020. You add that, but then the difference between being a freshman guard and a sophomore guard for not only Caleb Love, but R.J. Davis and Kerwin Walton is huge when you talk about college basketball. I believe that this team has a chance to really put it all together and make some noise as this season goes on.
7 to shoot. Jones puts up an air ball. Andrews going to have to hurry. Puts it up over the backboard and hits.
And great recognition by Jalen Andrews, and knowing that the shot clock was going down, the basketball did not hit the rim to get the shot up. But that's what we would expect from a guy who's on the Gray and Green Society. You're talking about one of the 14 seniors at Loyola who reports directly to the president, President Dr. Amanda Thomas, about issues and life on campus at Loyola University, Maryland. And again, Jalen Andrews, a special young man, not only on the court, but off the court as well.
Dr. Thomas among the traveling party who flew in from Baltimore yesterday. This is just the beginning of quite a road trip for the Greyhounds, who tomorrow will take a bus to Charleston, South Carolina for a couple of games. Matter of fact, tomorrow night, I understand they're going to be eating at Hall's Chop House on King Street. Have you ever been to Hall's Chop House?
I have not, but sounds like a place I'd love to visit.
Fabulous. We were talking about our bosses earlier. If you can talk them into assigning you to the Charleston Classic, that's the place to go.
We've been there. You and I, we did that together.
Then how did you not go to dinner with us?
You didn't invite me.
All right, my bad. Dawson Garcia banging with Jalen Andrews, who's given up a lot of size. Well, here are the transfers we were talking about, and I love the transformation of especially Garcia and Manek. One got cleaned up, the other one just let it go.
I tell you what, if we go back to the first picture of Brady Manek, that was Larry Bird. He looked very similar to Larry Bird on that picture. I had to double take. Now, he looks nothing like Larry Bird on this picture, though. Right now, he looks nothing like, but he had a very birdish look when he started his career at Oklahoma. Look at that. Come on. You're telling me that is not French lick?
Absolutely.
That is Larry Bird-esque right there from Brady Manek. I can respect that.
People call him Birdie.
Now, you know, of all people to respect a beard, it would be me.
We need to get a shot of what you were doing during the pandemic, during the lockdown.
You know, I can respect the beard.
Well, that's when his beard started, same as you. And unlike you, who a year ago decided to cut it off, he's just let it go.
Yeah, respect.
Jones.
Yeah, respect for Kenneth Jones, too, because he is out here getting it done in the first half. Kenneth Jones not scared of the moment, showing up big for this team. Young man averaged 5.2 points per game last year. But if the start of this game is any indication, those numbers are going to double, maybe triple this year.
And Loyola's two starting seniors, Kenneth Jones and Jalen Andrews, are leading the way with a combined 19 points. On 7 of 14 shooting, they are 4 of 8 combined from beyond the arc.
And after getting punched in the mouth early, you've got to give Forrest Hardy's group a lot of credit for really battling in this game. It's a 13-point game right now, but they've settled in and found a way to compete here on the road, not allowing North Carolina to run away with this like we thought we could have saw early in this game.
Of all the things I've learned about Tavares Hardy the last couple of days, the thing I liked the most, Corey, was that at practice last night here at the Dean Dome, he was out there practicing on the floor with his team.
But you also said that he was not the best coach on the floor, as Caleb Love, with a beautiful move, the ball handling, and then the strength to finish through contact. A little hands up right there, get into the lane. DK with the contact going to the left hand and finishing it off, an opportunity for the three-point play. And that's something I don't think we saw enough of Caleb Love last year, attacking the basket. He relied on his jump shot too much. And this is a young man, you're talking about 6'4", great size, great athleticism. And now you see that confidence to be able to make plays off the bounce, getting to the rim and getting himself to the free throw line.
First 19 minutes of the season, do you think that is a product of what so much has been talked about with Hubert Davis only having one big typically on the floor, so that there are driving lanes for Caleb Love?
Well, I wouldn't say that he only has one big on the floor. He has two bigs on the floor, but the difference is that other big, whether it's Brady Manick or it's Dawson Garcia, has the ability to shoot the three. So they're spacing, and so there's much more spacing on the floor for Caleb Love to find those driving lanes in comparison to a year ago when it was Armando Bacot as well as Day'Ron Sharpe on the floor. You know, so I mean, it's so many guys in there that aren't able to, and Garrison Brooks as well.
And Walker Kessler. So we had 4 traditional bigs last year here at Carolina, and this year you just don't have that.
Right. Well, you have the bigs, but they're stretch.
Not traditional.
Right. They're guys that can shoot the three, so it allows that spacing to be there, and so you can't really help off those guys, which gives Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, those guys more opportunities to get to the rim and finish.
Leaky Black back in. We talked about these players wanting to create their own legacies and stories of winning and championships at Carolina. Leaky's about the only one who has felt and tasted championship basketball here in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, well, Leaky Black, again, he's the veteran. He's the leader of this team and has to be that in the locker room. Now, he was not chosen to be one of the captains. That was actually Armando Bacot, R.J. Davis, and Caleb Love. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Hubert Davis is going to depend on those guys to really step up their vocal leadership this year, as well as their play on the floor on the defensive end. It's part of the reason why he chose those 3 to be captains.
That's the second foul on Armando Bacot, and it sends Veljko Ilić to the line. Here's Saturday's college football lineup right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app at noon Eastern. 6-3 Clemson hosts UConn, and then Duke looks for its first ACC win when it plays Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. And the day is capped off by our ACCN primetime matchup presented by Geico, a battle for first in the Atlantic Division. Devin Leary and number 19 NC State taking on Sam Hartman and number 9 Wake Forest.
How crazy is it to see a battle for the Atlantic Division and the Clemson Tigers not in it?
It really is something. Kind of refreshing, though, that we're going to see some other teams in that ACC championship game.
Tavares Hardy decides to go zone on the last possession and throw a different look at North Carolina.
Love. No. Manick. No. Walton couldn't get it. And that bucket came after the horn. And we have reached halftime. North Carolina on opening night under the direction of first-year head coach Hubert Davis head to the locker room, up 14 on the Greyhounds. Back at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, halftime with the Tar Heels leading by 14 over Loyola out of the Patriot League. With former Virginia Cavalier Corey Alexander, I'm Doug Sherman. And I think Hubert Davis had his team's attention to start the season. They came out with tremendous defensive intensity.
They really did. The Hubert Davis era at North Carolina started off with great defense early, and it was a number of guys getting involved. Armando Bacot getting his hand in the passing lane. R.J. Davis coming away with the steal and the finish. And then Caleb Love getting out in transition for the highlight slam. Bacot once again using his hands very well, turning defense into offense for North Carolina, blocking shots. And you mentioned earlier that Armando Bacot said the defense would be easier for him. Well, it showed up because 2 blocks and a steal already for Bacot as we get an opportunity to look at the halftime stats.
And I'll tell you what, Corey, the 2 stats for Carolina that jump out at me. 2 problem areas from a year ago, turning the ball over and shooting the basketball. Not a problem in the first half tonight. Only 3 turnovers for the team, and they shot it 5 of 11 from distance.
And their first 10 minutes defensively were spectacular. The second 10, not so much. I'm sure Coach Davis talked to his team about refocusing defensively to start the second half. Loyola was able to find their rhythm in that second part of that first half and knock down a couple of threes to allow themselves to stay competitive in this game.
Individually, good balance for the Tar Heels. 12 points for Caleb Love to lead all scorers. Brady Manick has 10, 8 apiece for Armando Bacot and Kerwin Walton off the bench for Loyola. The 2 seniors leading the way. 10 points for Kenneth Jones, their point guard, and then their 2 guard, Jalen Andrews, has 9. And the second half is underway here at the Dean Dome. Here's Kenneth Jones drawing the assignment from Love, who is called for the hand check, picking up his second personal foul. You said his stated goal was to be the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. That's what Hubert said he thinks he can do.
That's what Hubert said he thinks he can be, is the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. My stated goal for him, not his, my goal for him is to be the ACC Player of the Year.
Okay.
Which, of course, there's going to be a tremendous amount of competition for that this year, along with one of his teammates, Armando Bacot. You've got Paolo Banchero. You've got, so many different guys.
Danny Luma,
Buddy
Boeheim.
But let me tell you who the sleeper is this year. Mark Williams. Beware of Mark Williams at Duke. And I know this is a North Carolina game. We're not supposed to talk about the other school 8 miles away that much. But beware of Mark Williams. He's like Caleb Love, a sophomore who could be a difference maker in the ACC this season.
What do you think about Carolina being 19th in the country and where they were picked in the conference poll, number 3 behind Duke and Florida State?
I think that's exactly where Hubert Davis would love for them to be, where the expectations are lower than where they plan to finish, as Armando Bacot picks up the foul in transition. Sean Hall right on top of the play. It was a clean block. However, you see the right hand of Bacot coming out early and getting opportunity to look at the ACC poll. North Carolina picked 3rd, as you mentioned, did get 5 first-place votes to win the league. But when you look at Duke, I think that Duke is a favorite. But Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, all to me kind of in that same range where they have a very high ceiling, but their floor is also lower. Duke has so much talent and so much depth that I think that they really put themselves in a separate position than everyone else.
Well, Notre Dame is the team that I'm most curious to see out of the group. They added Paul Atkinson, the tremendous grad transfer from Yale, but largely the rest of the roster is about the same. But there is a bit of a buzz thinking that the Irish should be back in the national picture this year.
I believe that there's a chance. But again, when you talk about college basketball, the stars are the coaches. And when you've got a star coaching like a Mike Brey, you're not going to be down for so long. One of the best offensive coaches in college basketball. And now he's got veteran leadership to go along with it. And more importantly, a motivated team that knows that they need to make a difference, not only for themselves individually as they get to the end of their careers, but also for their coach's legacy moving forward.
Fowler missed the three for Loyola. This is R.J. Davis, one of two point guards, if you will, who play for Carolina now together. Brady Manek off the spin. And Corey, if you can share for the audience why Hubert Davis learned as an assistant in watching Carolina and learning from other coaches and other programs around the country, why he has gone with the idea that Davis and Love can coexist together with the basketball in both of their hands.
Well, he said he fell in love with it when he had Joel Berry and Marcus Page in the backcourt here at North Carolina. But more importantly, because it's difficult for opposing teams to put pressure on you to speed you up when you have 2 point guards on the floor. Now when you're talking about the talent level of R.J. Davis as well as Caleb Love, you've got two of the better players, two of the better guards in the league. Both McDonald's All-Americans, highly heralded players coming out of high school. But now they have experience, and that's what they lacked last year, was that experience. But they also have the hunger and that desire after seeing what many people would consider to be a lost season, a failed season a year ago, now coming back hungry to have that success this year.
And Davis has been working on his defense as well. Among the things he's done, studying tape of the great Patrick Beverly, as well as Jose Alvarado, who was the Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC last year at Georgia Tech, now in the NBA.
And that's what the great players do. You watch and you take from guys who you've seen do it before you. Beautiful by Jones. The easiest basket that Cam Spencer's gotten thus far on the evening.
Dawson Garcia. Traveling violation. 6th turnover. And the third in the first 2 minutes and 45 seconds here in the second half.
You talked about the Princeton influence for Coach Tavares Hardy. None better than getting an opportunity to see it, the beautiful back door. No help there as Spencer gets the easy layup. And you talked about not only his Northwestern roots, but also as assistant coach for John Thompson III at Georgetown, who was a master of the Princeton offense.
Princeton. Well, Tavares also talked about the influence that Craig Robinson, former first brother of our country, has had on him, and that they were 3-on-3 teammates for a number of years. And there's another Princeton connection. And of course, during that, he did get to play with President Obama one time in Chicago, Tavares said.
Hey, one time is enough.
Absolutely.
That's something great to have on the resume.
Tough shot there.
But you see just how a layup can get a guy like Cam Spencer going. We know he can make plays, he can score, but an easy layup now gives him confidence to go at Kervin Walton on the other end of the floor as he's having a conversation with Mark Schnur about what he felt was contact on the other end of the floor. But now you look at Loyola, they've made this a 10-point game. And they have confidence now. You know, of course, you have an opportunity to come in and play against North Carolina in the Dean Dome. You know, there's a bit of shock and awe at the beginning of that game. We saw that for Tavares Hardy's group early, but now they've settled in, and they're going to try their best to make this a game here and try to give themselves a chance to win it at the end.
Well, it's a Loyola team that was comfortable, loose when they walked into the Dean Dome for the first time last night for practice. They were not in awe. They looked around. You can't help. It's like being in New York City. You look up at the skyscrapers. You come into the Dean Dome, you look up at all the banners and the rafters. But I felt like they had a really good practice last night. And Coach Hardy told me that they weren't going to do anything different to try and beat Carolina. They're not going to try to take the air out of the ball. They're not going to do trick things. They're going to do what Loyola does in their effort to get ready for Patriot League action.
Well, and with Coach Hardy having so much experience playing against North Carolina as assistant coach at Georgia Tech, his players can buy into what he's preaching because he knows, you know, that he's been here before. He's looked up and seen these banners and these jerseys. But let me tell you this. When you walk in and you see the banners up top, it's spectacular to see it. But when you see Michael Jordan, that one's a little different. It's almost like it's glowing.
Yeah. Vince Carter was back for their exhibition game the other night. You never know who's going to be courtside. We showed you Psycho T. He is here tonight.
We highlighted coming into the second half North Carolina's defense, but we also highlighted a huge proponent for that was Armando Bacot, who picked up his third foul early in this second half and has been sitting down. And now you see Loyola much more comfortable attacking the basket, playing through the post, with Bacot sitting on the sideline, having to watch with that third foul.
Yeah, Bacot's got 3. Love has 2 for Carolina. Milos Ilic has 3 for Loyola and 2 apiece for Faure and Dike. Off the miss. Shot clock goes off, but Walton had the basketball first, and so they play on.
We'd have to say Tavares Hardy switching back to man-to-man, but the zone did its job as Caleb Love comes off. Has a good look at a 3 as the defender goes under the screen. Doesn't knock it down. But Hardy trying to switch up the defenses and keep North Carolina off balance on the offensive end as Spencer gets to the rim, finishes through the contact.
Tell you what, he's got a physicality that is obvious. He was a high-level high school lacrosse player, could have played in a lot of places, including Loyola. He's bringing that physicality to Chapel Hill and keeping the Greyhounds close to the Tar Heels. Coming up in about an hour and 15 minutes at Madison Square Garden, Mike Krzyzewski begins his final season as head coach at Duke University. It's the nightcap of the State Farm Champions Classic as number 9 Duke will take on number 10 Kentucky. Also around the country, Gonzaga number 1 in the preseason poll, and the defending champs from Baylor lost a lot, but they've got a lot back, Corey, as the number 8 team in the AP poll preseason. The Bears certainly should be heard from. Nationally, what's the biggest story outside of Coach K that you're thinking about these days?
Well, it's getting an opportunity to see Chet Holmgren and Paolo Banchero go at it right after Thanksgiving in Vegas. So it is still part of Coach K, but Duke and Gonzaga, I'm looking forward to watching that game, seeing those two teams go at it.
High-low, big to big, the 2 transfers hook up, Garcia to Manek.
And great execution against the zone. Tavares Hardy, we talked about switching up his defenses to try to keep Carolina off balance, going with the zone out of the timeout, but Hubert Davis well prepared to get his team an easy bucket.
Cam Spencer continues to be more proactive. He had a run of 6 straight points earlier in the half, and now he's going back to the free throw line. And so the 6'4" junior from Davidsonville, Maryland, at the line. By the way, that foul on Davis was his 3rd. Our next men's college basketball games here on ACC Network and the ESPN app are Friday night. Tobacco Road doubleheader. Army at number 9 Duke, 7 Eastern. Coach K's final season salute continues, and then Hubert Davis and these Tar Heels. Post Brown, our coverage starts with Nothing But Net, the pregame show at 6 Eastern time.
And I'll be making my Nothing But Net debut. Wait a minute, I think it is. I think it's my debut on Nothing But Net.
The biggest headline statement with a qualifier.
Excited to hang out with, of course, my girl Kelsey Riggs and my man Carlos Boozer at Duke on Friday night.
16 points now for Manek. And the call goes for Carolina against Velko Ilic.
But you see Brady Manek, the experience, recognizing, okay, I'm going to take one hit. So instead of battling through the first one, he just takes the dive on that first hit, that first contact, picks up the offensive foul, and gains a possession back for his team. That's not something that you do as a freshman. But as a 5th-year grad transfer, you're able to make plays like that to help your team win ball games.
Good defense by Spencer to cut off Love. Black again drives and dish. This time Walton for 3. 11 off the bench for the sophomore from Hopkins, Minnesota. quiet the crowd, can't get the roll. Love with a burst. And a chance for three. The Tar Heels with a chance to take their largest lead of the night.
What a difference a year makes. Last season, this would have been a missed shot, possibly a turnover for a freshman guard, Caleb Love. Now it's a strong finish high off the glass for an ACC Player of the Year candidate and an opportunity for a three-point play.
Over the last minute 9 here at the Dean Dome, Carolina has caught fire. 4 for 4 from the floor, a 7-0 run, and Caleb Love at the line. And he gives the Tar Heels, Corey, their largest lead of the night.
Well, and it started with their defense, and that's what we saw from them in the first half. But you look back and you see, Brady Manick stepping in, taking a charge on a post play, and then getting a stop, and Caleb Love with the opportunity to get out in transition. And now another turnover for Loyola coming out of the timeout. An opportunity for Carolina to add to the lead.
Walton. And a foul on the rebound. Well, that was the 9th Loyola turnover off of the deflection by Manick.
And I love what I just saw there. Kerwin Walton misses a three. He's angry with himself. Hubert Davis yells out to him, gets his attention, and gives him a thumbs up, basically saying, hey, we're good with that shot. You're a great three-point shooter. We'll take our chances with you knocking those down.
Love probes, hangs. Good vertical defense. Not to pick up the foul by Alonso Faure. Kenneth Jones, no. He's been held scoreless so far here in the second half after putting 10 on the board before the break. And a foul on Faure on the post entry. That is the 4th foul on the sophomore from Spain. Garcia gets the defender on his hip and lays it in.
And just nice action. You see the screening action for North Carolina and being able to get Garcia an easy one. And, Dawson Garcia is not necessarily a power player. He's more of a skill guy, listed as a small forward, although he's 6'10", maybe 6'11", listed as a small forward as Andrews knocks down the three. Big answer for Loyola, but when you look at Garcia, he's really playing a different spot because his ability is to put the ball on the floor, make plays. You see the beautiful find into Manick, unable to finish. But Brady Manick is more of a post player, believe it or not, than Garcia is with this group.
That is DK with a golden move. He's got 4 points. 61-46.
I like what you did there.
See? Golden DK also is from Spain, so you've got 2 Spanish players on this Loyola roster. Love with a spinning bucket. He's got 19 points. And you've got the Serbian twins, and that's one of the things Coach Hardy is most proud about, how diverse not only his roster is, but also his coaching staff.
Absolutely. He's extremely proud of his diverse coaching staff. He feels as though they have the most diverse coaching staff in the country when you consider, of course, him as a black head coach, as well as 2 female assistants on the staff and international influence. But all of that right now paling in comparison to Caleb Love, who is putting on a show here in his sophomore season debut.
She's known by the name Coach Tiny to everybody. Tiny Adams is just the 5th female Division I men's basketball assistant coach ever. The pride of Flatbush, Brooklyn. She's been known as Tiny since high school. She went on to score over 2,000 points at Morgan State, and now in her 2nd year on Tavares Hardy's staff. And she says, Corey, the toughest part for her, it has nothing to do with her gender. It has to do with the learning curve that she has had, as Garcia puts in the bucket, coming from an HBCU and that level of women's basketball to a higher level of men's basketball. And so she is in her second year of doing that, and she is, again, just the 5th female ever on a D1 men's basketball coaching staff.
And I had a conversation with Tavares Hardy, it had to be June of 2020, and we were talking about potential candidates. He had an opening, and we were talking about potential candidates, and he mentioned Tiny to me. And again, you know, when you hear I'm thinking about hiring a female, then you wonder, okay, what does she bring to your staff? And he told me he needed player development, and he felt like she was the best person for that. And I was excited for him making that move, and it was definitely in no way, shape, or form a publicity stunt. It has all been about making his team better. And when you listen to the players, especially, you know, Jalen Andrews talk about Coach Tiny, they have a tremendous amount of respect for her, not only from the standpoint of what she does for this team, but how much better she's made each and every one of them. And she grinded for this job. I mean, of course, Kevin Brodus, the head coach at Morgan State, where she was a video coordinator, was who referred her to Tavares Hardy, and that's how the connection started. And it's been a great hire for Coach Hardy thus far.
And again, Coach Tiny could ball. She played 7 years professionally in 12 countries overseas before coming back to Baltimore and getting into coaching. And I asked her, all right, you're tiny. She's not very big, obviously, but how tall are you? And she said, with the right pair of shoes, I'm 5'6".
Well, you also said, I'm going to put you on blast. Because Tavares Hardy practiced with the team yesterday. But you said Coach Tiny was actually the best coach in practice.
No question.
Okay, there you go then. So I didn't have to put you on blast. You admitted to it.
She was good. And you can see the way the guys react to her. And after shoot around this morning, or this morning, I guess it was, you and I saw it, the way the guys just enjoyed her company and got behind her and had a great time with her. And she knows what she's talking about. .840 remaining in regulation. Carolina looking to build on its 18-point lead. Good hustle to find Garcia. Well, he may not get to the 24 points he scored for Marquette in this building back in February, but he's heating up here in the second half.
He is heating up and actually got a layup early, and then from that has been able to attack the basket. But you see, he has the ability to stretch the floor once again. And we talked about the spacing for North Carolina. The difference this year, they have a big guy on the floor at all times that can shoot the basketball, whether it's Brady Manick or it's Dawson Garcia. And oftentimes it's both of those guys. And opening up that paint will do wonders for both R.J. Davis as well as Caleb Love attacking the rim.
Here they go into Baycott. He spent a lot of time on the bench here in the second half with foul trouble. And it'll be Carolina ball when we come back.
And we talked about the other transfers with the Virginia transfer, Justin McCoy keeping the ball alive. Another possession, finding Garcia in the corner, knocking down the big three.
Here's a look at the preseason All-ACC team. We've mentioned, well, all of their names so far, except for Isaiah Wong from the Miami Hurricanes. Of course, all the publicity is on Paolo Banchero, the freshman for Duke, who is the preseason Conference Player of the Year. And would you say Paolo is the odds-on to wind up fulfilling that this year?
I would say that he has a great chance, but I believe that he's got so much help on his own team that could take away from that. Buddy Boeheim could be a guy that leads the ACC in scoring this year. But when you look at that preseason, that may be the tallest preseason All-ACC team of all time. You think about it, there's only one.
Right.
I mean, Buddy is 6'6", 6'7".
Right.
I mean, he's considered a guard, but everyone else is big. You've got all bigs on there. Keve Aluma is 6'10", Armando Bacot's 6'10". You know, then when you look at Paolo, he's 6'10", you know, maybe closer to 6'11" now.
I've not thought about that. In this day and age where basketball is so guard heavy, not big heavy, that is unusual.
Yeah, it is. And I can't remember in recent history the last time we saw a preseason team with that many big guys on it.
Well, 4 teams in the ACC preseason, including your alma mater. Is that a vote for the Cavaliers largely based on their coach, Tony Bennett?
Well, as long as Tony Bennett is on the sideline, Virginia's going to be good.
Yep.
So therefore, yes, that probably is. But this Virginia team, I believe, will be reminiscent to the team we saw 2 years ago, where scoring was limited at times, but defensively they were stout. I believe this challenge for Tony Bennett and his staff this year is a personal thing, where last year they weren't the defensive team that we've gotten to know. But I believe they will be this season. They don't have the same offensive firepower, and they will go back to playing, what has been Virginia basketball on the defensive end of the floor.
And you can see the Cavaliers right after our game here on ACC Network. They take on the Naval Academy, 9 o'clock Eastern Time in Charlottesville. Foul on McCoy will send Golden DK to the free throw line. Just the 6th team foul on Carolina here in the second half. As Golden DK, 6'10", 248, part of an outstanding 2019 recruiting class, along with Santi Aldama, of course, the first-round pick, now with the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll have a women's college basketball doubleheader for you Sunday afternoon beginning at noon Eastern at the Carrier Dome. Notre Dame takes on Syracuse. It's the first conference game for both teams. And then number 5 NC State will host Florida right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
And I need to go to my ESPN app and see, did NC State beat South Carolina tonight? Who won that game, the 5 p.m. game to start off college basketball on ESPN?
I have not seen it. The Winston Coliseum.
We were working, so.
Well, I was just leaving the hotel when Ryan Rucco and Rebecca Lobo were starting the broadcast, but I don't know.
It's actually South Carolina won that game 66-57 going into NC State.
Wow.
In the Reynolds Coliseum and getting a win there. So a tough start for the season for NC State, though. I mean, they've got a stacked schedule early in the year, but one of the better teams in the ACC.
Now, you didn't play at Reynolds Coliseum, right?
I did.
You did.
I averaged 20 in Reynolds.
I was going to try and say you're not as old as I thought you were, because you didn't play. You did not play here at Carmichael.
I never played at Carmichael.
But you did play at Reynolds.
I did play at Reynolds.
Some of the tremendous home courts here on Tobacco Road.
And for the record, I played very well at Reynolds. Did not play as well here in the Dean E. Smith Center.
Okay. You must have matched up against Hubert, right?
We played, his senior year was my first year at Virginia. They kicked us here, and we actually beat them. They were ranked number 4 in the country, came to Charlottesville, and we beat them there my freshman year, and I had 24 in that game. And every time I bring it up to Hubert, he acts like he doesn't remember. I'm not sure how he just gets convenient amnesia just like that. But Hubert actually averaged 21.7 points a game that year. He was a stud in the ACC, and of course went on to have a very solid NBA career.
Yeah, I was going to say he probably got those nights, because he did that pretty much every night as a senior. Garcia strong to the bucket. Fowler blocked it. Manick with the putback. 18 points from Manick. He's only 1 of 5 from distance, getting it done in close range in the mid-range.
But more encouraging for the North Carolina faithful is the fact that Armando Bacot really hasn't played much here in this second half. But yet they've been able to stretch the lead with Garcia and Manick both getting it done.
Leaky! Not sure if the rim got him or if DK got him.
I'm not sure. Somebody got him, though. DK definitely challenged it. And Leakey went back with mean intentions to send that one home, but was denied on that opportunity.
Jones will go to the free throw line, give us a chance to see exactly what happened at the rim.
Oh, I got to give Golden the credit for that. DK comes up. He got his hand on the basketball right there. But Leakey has so much force he's going with to dunk that basketball. Once DK gets his hand on the basketball, it throws off the momentum. He gets a well-deserved break for that from his coaching staff. Big play on the defensive end of the floor.
Now this Loyola team will be as big or bigger as any once they get to the Patriot League. I mean, in recent years, Colgate's been the team to beat, and Colgate did beat Loyola in last year's Patriot League championship game to go on to the NCAA tournament. In the preseason poll, as Davis goes out, Boston University was picked just ahead of Colgate, and Loyola is down quite a bit. But the idea in Baltimore at this Loyola campus is that they're going to be better than 8th. Lob to Leaky Black, and there was no defense that time.
And great recognition by Caleb Love. Seeing Leaky Black hiding behind the zone. Tavares Hardy switching it up to a 1-3-1 zone. No one back on the backside to take away Leaky Black. That was the first assist for Caleb Love in the game, who told Hubert Davis he also wants to lead the ACC in assists this year. But more importantly, with only 1 assist, 0 turnovers for Caleb Love here tonight.
Walton called for the charge. Yeah, apparently Caleb Love can't finish a practice each day without having accumulated 6 assists.
Well, you see he gets a beautiful one here, putting it right on point to Leaky Black. Getting Leaky Black his first bucket of the evening.
Yeah, Leaky's played 18 minutes and his only 2 shot attempts have come in the last 30 seconds on dunk attempts.
1 for 2. Hey, 50%. If I made 50% of my in-game dunks, I probably would have scored another 100 points.
And again, all you have to do is Google Corey Alexander dunk, and you can see him missing a dunk very quickly on YouTube.
That is very true. I do not deny it. I do not deny that. YouTube will not allow me to deny it.
Another takeaway by the Tar Heels. Love spins, dump it off Manic.
Uh-oh.
Boy, here come the assists.
Uh-oh. Caleb about to get them assist numbers up now. He's already got buckets. Sitting on 19 points now, 2 assists, 0 turnovers for Caleb Love. Passing out the love to all his teammates. First to Leaky Black, and then attacking the rim. Nice spin move, dropping it all to Manic.
HD.
What's up, HD? It's Bryce here.
HD. It's your boy Nas, man.
Let me first congratulate you on becoming the new head coach of North Carolina basketball.
I just wanted to say how excited I am.
I'm extremely proud of you, and I can't wait to see you have more success in this new chapter of your career.
I think it's going to be a big year, so let's get it, man. Tiger Nation, let's go.
You still riding Kenny Williams over his dunks?
No, I let him go. I let him go over that, you know what I mean? That's my guy, though. Of course, you look at a number of those guys in that video. Think back, Justin Jackson, of course, Bryce Johnson, 2 national championship winners on that staff. Hubert Davis was assistant coach. Roy Williams winning his 3rd national championship with that group. And again, I just think this is a perfect fit. I mean, it was the time. You know, many people wondered what was really going on when Roy Williams bent over and kissed the floor, kneel down and kiss the floor after the win versus Duke in the last regular season game last year. I knew what was going on because, of course, Coach Williams had been here so long, and that was, believe, the only time I can remember him kissing the floor.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, at that point it's time for him to walk away. I think, you know, the changes in the game, the transfer portal, possibly had something to do with that as well. But, you know, one thing about Roy Williams, he knew, and he has said many times, when it's time, I'll walk away. And I believe that he had peace in where the program was. And I think that, you know, 9 years prior, when he came and got Hubert Davis off of TV, off of ESPN, to join his staff, I believe that he felt like then that he was the guy. And over the last 9 years, I believe that he's groomed Hubert Davis to take over this role. And, of course, knowing his background as a player and his role with not only the relationships of the former players, but also this community, I believe that Coach Williams had this in mind. And I'm not saying that he named Hubert Davis as the head coach, but I believe that he did a good job of grooming him to be able to take over this position.
Yeah, because Hubert has been pretty steadfast throughout, saying this was not something he was striving for when he left ESPN to come back home to Chapel Hill to work on staff. He wasn't saying, I'm going to be the heir apparent to Roy Williams, but you think Roy was thinking that?
I think Roy thought that.
Okay.
I honestly believe Roy thought, and he never told me that. He's never said that. But when you listen to Roy Williams talk about Hubert Davis and how competitive he is, but also how great of a person he is, that's the type of hands you want to put this program in. And so I believe that Roy had that plan all along when he asked Hubert to join him and leave ESPN.
Nice break for Loyola. The assist by Nick Marshall. And now 6 points for Veljko Ilić. And we are expecting Coach Davis to join us after the ball game courtside. So you want to stick around for that. Caleb Love will head to the free throw line.
And I really like the spacing that Caleb Love has to be able to attack floor. And we've talked about a number of times in this game to be able to attack the basket, because you have so much shooting on the perimeter. When you put Garcia and you put Manick on the floor, of course you've got Walton out there with them. It's difficult to help off of any of those guys and take away that space for Caleb Love getting to the free throw line. Now, if there's one thing that Caleb has not done well tonight, it's free throw line. He hasn't shot the ball great from the free throw line. That's something he's going to be probably, getting up free throws later on tonight, definitely tomorrow, knowing that he gave away free points.
He is 6 for 10 at the free throw line. He and Brady Manick both with a game-high 20 points. Andrews leads the Greyhounds with 17 points. Loyola had it within 10 earlier here in the second half, but then the Tar Heels flexed their muscles again, as they did coming out of the locker room in the first half to begin the ball game. Caleb Love easily to the basket again. He's got 22. His career high is 25, which came at Duke late last season.
An ovation for Caleb Love, Armando Bacot, Brady Manick for a strong performance here, introducing the Hubert Davis era to the North Carolina faithful in a convincing fashion.
Manick and Black also take a seat as Anthony Harris comes back out of the floor. Justin McCoy as well. And the college debut of a freshman from Kinston, North Carolina, Dontrez Styles. He's number 3 in white. And also Dewey Ferris getting his first run of the season. He picks up the foul.
Okay, so now you bring up Kinston. I'm going to test you.
Okay.
Name another North Carolina great from Kinston, North Carolina.
Jerry Stackhouse.
Oh, look at you go. Dougie Fresh.
Give me another.
Ooh, wait a minute. I don't know another.
Reggie Bullock.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I do remember that.
So there you go.
Okay. I do remember that.
So can Mr. Styles live up to that?
I tell you what. That's pretty high praise to try to live up to.
It is. There are high hopes for Dontrez, 6'6", 210 pounds. He was on ESPN's 100 list. He was number 65 last year. He and DeMarco Dunn, the two freshmen who we have not seen until now. DeMarco Dunn with the basketball, number 11. He's from Tucson, Arizona, although he has East Coast connections that brought him here to Chapel Hill. Wade Jackson. Good footwork by Veljko Ilić with the reverse. He's now got 8 points for Loyola. Corey, your overall thoughts here with the Tar Heels going to pick up win number 1 of the Coach Davis era.
I love what I saw defensively from the Tar Heels and the energy that they play with on the defensive end of the floor. I thought it was a very efficient game. And one of the bigger concerns, not only the defense for North Carolina, but their ability to not turn the basketball over. and get shots on every time down the floor. And I thought they also did a very good job of handling the basketball on the evening. So I would give this a strong A effort, because again, when you look at it and you say, okay, well, I'm not sure how much competition Loyola was going to provide for North Carolina in this game, especially after their best player a year ago declaring for the NBA draft. But these are games over the last 2 seasons where we've seen North Carolina in a dogfight or actually lose those games. And so I think, I have to really take my hat off to Coach Davis and the effort that his team played with. And that's one of the things that he's liked so much about this group is their hunger and their desire to get it done every time they step on the floor. He says he's never had to coach effort in the 7 months that he's been the head coach of North Carolina.
Well, you heard the fans chanting Dewey, and the 4th-generation Tar Heel athlete makes his first free throw. Pretty cool.
So there you had to jinx him there.
It was too much to ask to get 2 for 2. Well, you said if you shoot 50%, you're all right.
Oh, dunks. And that's actually not a good percentage of dunks. If you miss every other dunk, you shouldn't be trying to dunk.
That's a good point. Shout out to Deron Gray into the ball game for Loyola. Junior from Clarksburg, Maryland, buries the jump shot. Out of bounds off of Dunn, and so Loyola will get it back with the shot clock on. Well, next up for the Tar Heels Friday night, Brown comes to town for a 9 o'clock game here on ACC Network. Then they take a trip next week to the College of Charleston before they jump into the deep end of the pool, taking on Purdue and then either Tennessee or Villanova at the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off tournament at Mohegan Sun up in Connecticut. And now Veljko Ilić gets the roll on the second. He's had a solid ball game. Give him 12 points. Good way to start his college career, coming to Chapel Hill and scoring a dozen, but it'll come in an 83-67 loss to North Carolina. The 19th ranked team in the country comes out, throws the first punch, only turns the ball over 3 times in the first half, and never really gets challenged throughout.
And you saw a strong performance from Armando Bacot, especially defensively in the first half, and Caleb Love for the entire stretch of this game. We got tremendous contributions from Brady Manick, from Dawson Garcia. The depth of this North Carolina team is something that they haven't had, in a while, especially when you consider the ability to shoot the basketball from outside. But this is a different defensive group, in my opinion, for North Carolina.
Well, the transfers in their first game in Carolina Blue look pretty good.
They really did. You see Garcia into Manick, and then Garcia taking it upon his own to knock down buckets on the interior. Justin McCoy coming up, making plays. Hustle plays to be able to get buckets for his teammates. But it's really been about the fact that this North Carolina team showed up defensively and played with a tremendous amount of heart and hustle here tonight.
Well, as the folks here at the Dean Smith Center enjoy this first victory, we have time for one comment. You've worked at ESPN. You know how this works. One comment after your first victory as the head coach of the Tar Heels, Hubert.
Relieved. I'm just glad.
the first one's out of the book. It's done. It was a really good team. They're disciplined. They know how to play on both ends of the floor, and they really made us work in the second half. But I really love how we responded.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming over. He knows the deal. We're done here in Chapel Hill. We send you to Charlottesville as the ACC season opening night continues.